The next thing I wanted to try to do with Copilot in VS Code is make a Node.js web app to serve some documentation, a doc app. So here's the Mural API reference. You can see there's a navigation area on the left, the main information's in the middle, and then there's like a try it out area over on the right-hand side. Here's what I created by hand. I could keep fussing with it to make it nicer, but it's got the main parts here. There's the navigation on the left and the main information in the middle, and I didn't bother to build the try it out area on the right. So I created a new empty directory and I explained to Copilot the bare bones of what I wanted to do. And Copilot created a bunch of files and put the code in that I was expecting. And that was a great start. I think that would save you some time. But very quickly things bogged down because I already knew what I needed the app to do. And it actually was much harder to explain what I wanted than it took me to just write the code. And so you can see here, I'll just kind of scroll through a bunch of the back and forth in the little chat. Add a function that does this, create another file that does that. This was really tedious and painful and slow. And the code that was generated was sloppy. It had bugs in it. If a teammate made a pull request with the code that was generated through all of this, I would not have accepted the pull request. I would definitely have to go in and add better error handling. I kind of reached a point where it was like, how fussy am I going to be with my prompts before there's no point having AI, quote, save me time by generating code. And there were little weird things. So, for example, when I was updating the JavaScript in the front end, I wanted it to use Ajax to call the endpoints on the server. That's a small point. Maybe you could argue that that's not even the best way to do it, but that's what I wanted. And I had to really ask over and over again in different ways to get it to use that library. I did find that changing the cascading style sheets worked better than I expected. So when I said things like make the header narrower and make the font smaller, those kinds of changes did work. But when it came to explaining these collapsible components and everything, I just couldn't do it. So this was another case where it was just easier to write the code myself. Another whole part of this doc app is the idea that in the real world, you'd have the source for the reference information in some content management system or a repo or something, and you'd be pulling that in dynamically. And you would have sample code that you'd also be pulling in dynamically. And you can see here in the sample code, there's like a naming convention to the files. So trying to explain to Copilot how to process this naming convention was super tedious. Another case where, honestly, it was faster just to write the code. So from this little exercise, what I took away from it is that, yeah, you can get a web app spun up pretty fast. But if you have an idea in your head that you want, it can actually be really tedious to try to tell Copilot how to get there. And if you can program, you can probably make it faster and easier yourself. Also, there was a weird side effect, and this is kind of I don't know how to explain this, but when I'm programming, I get into a flow state, and I care about the code I'm writing, and I want it to have good error handling. I want it to be concise. When I'm generating the code, I feel really disassociated from it. It's not mine. I don't care about it. It's not fun. I'm definitely not in any kind of flow state as I type my prompt and then I wait for the code to be generated. It's not the same. And so actually making the web app using Copilot was way less fun. It was frustrating. I would rather do it by hand. And in this case, it wasn't saving me any time either. So if you want to generate a quick app for a proof of concept or a demo or to try out an idea, and you're going to throw the code away, I would use it for that. But if I was going to put something into production, I would not use the code generated by Copilot. Or put another way, if I was going to put something into production, it would be faster for me just to write the code because then I know I would get the code I wanted.